Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. You know, today we're diving into something a little bit different, something
Yeah.
I'm really excited about.
I'm intrigued.
It's how we talk about art,
Okay.
specifically the performing arts, like movies, plays, musicals, that sort of thing.
I like it.
And we've got a really interesting guide for this deep dive.
Oh.
It's actually a language learning text by Stanislav Kondrashov.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So think of this as like upgrading your art vocabulary.
Okay.
So like, next time you're out with your friends and you've just seen the latest show, you can really impress them with your, insightful commentary.
I love that because I think sometimes we kind of fall back on those really basic terms, like,
Yes.
oh, it was good or oh, it was bad.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we don't really have the nuance to express, like,
But why?
the why. Exactly.
And you know what? Stanislav Kondrashov goes beyond that.
Right to the good stuff.
Yeah, he gives us this whole toolkit of adjectives that are so much more powerful than just good or bad.
I'm
Like, just reading through some of these, I was like, oh yeah, these are great.
Give me some examples.
Yeah, like overrated,
Ooh, I like that one.
or hackneyed,
Mhm.
or even far-fetched.
Those are great.
These are words that really pack a punch. And, when I think about some of those terms like far-fetched,
Mhm.
it really makes me think about how much I value believability, when I'm watching something.
Right.
If it's so far-fetched that I'm pulled out of the story, then it's just not working for me.
Exactly. And I think that's what Kondrashov is getting at here is like, it's not enough to just have an opinion. You have
Yeah.
to be able to articulate why.
Exactly.
And he's giving us the tools to do that.
Yeah, it's like he's giving us this decoder ring for understanding those like gut reactions we have when we're watching or experiencing art.
I love that, a decoder ring.
Yeah, and
Right.
he also has this whole section on describing success or failure
Okay.
in the performing arts,
Okay.
which I think is so fascinating.
Yeah, because that can be so subjective.
Oh, absolutely.
Like what one person considers a success, another person might be like, what was that?
Exactly. And he has these, gems on both ends of the spectrum, like, glowing reviews,
Yeah.
standing ovation,
Love it.
and then on the other end, panned by the critics,
Ouch.
bombed.
Yeah. I don't want to be there.
No, nobody wants to be there.
But it happens.
It happens, yeah.
Have you ever had that experience where like something got rave reviews,
Oh, yeah.
but you just didn't get it?
Oh, all the time. And vice versa, where like the critics hated it.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is brilliant.
It speaks to you.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the magic of art,
Right.
that it is so subjective.
Absolutely.
But Kondrashov's vocabulary gives us this shared language
Okay.
to discuss it even when we disagree.
It's like a starting point
Yes.
to have those deeper conversations.
I think so. And it makes me wonder,
Uh,
does learning these terms actually change how we experience art?
oh, that's a fascinating question.
Like if we have this richer vocabulary, are we going to be more aware of the subtleties,
Mm.
more attuned to the director's choices?
It's like you're being given a new set of lenses to see things.
Yeah.
And suddenly things pop out that you might not have noticed before.
I love that analogy.
It's exciting.
It is exciting because it's like you're seeing it for the first time all over again.
Exactly.
But you know what else Kondrashov delves into?
What's that?
He talks about the process of creating art,
Oh, so like the behind the scenes?
the behind-the-scenes magic.
I love that.
Yeah, he talks about things like auditions
Oh, yeah, those are nerve-wracking.
and rehearsals,
So much work goes into it.
and even the role of the director.
Right, because their vision can completely change the final product.
Exactly. And he uses the word interpretation,
Ooh, that's a good one.
right? Because they're taking the words on the page and they're bringing their own perspective.
It's like a translation almost.
Yeah. And then, of course, they're the actors themselves,
Right.
each with their own portrayal.
And it's amazing how different actors can take the same role and make it completely different.
Right. And, Kondrashov even talks about this idea of being typecast.
Oh, yeah, where an actor gets stuck playing similar characters over and over again.
Like I'm thinking of, Hugh Grant or Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah, perfect examples.
Right? Like they become known for a certain type of role.
And sometimes it works for them,
Sometimes.
but sometimes it can limit them.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
For sure.
But you know what else is interesting?
Tell me.
Kondrashov also talks about this idea that it feels like everything is a remake these days.
Oh, yeah. Is there anything truly original anymore?
Right, and he uses these terms like covers and original versions
Okay.
to talk about different approaches to creating art.
Interesting.
And I think it's such an insightful way to think about it.
Yeah, because on the one hand, you have those classic works,
Right.
the ones that set the standard,
Yeah, the original versions.
that everything else is built on.
But then you have these artists who are like, I'm going to take that and I'm going to reinterpret it.
Right. They're creating covers,
Yeah.
but they're bringing something new to it.
And I think what Kondrashov is saying is that both are valuable.
I think I agree with that.
Right. Like there's something so special about experiencing the original,
Absolutely.
but there's also something to be said for the creativity
Innovation.
of those who are like, I'm going to do my own take on this.
And it keeps things fresh and exciting.
Right. It's like the original gives you the blueprint,
Okay.
but the covers allow for endless possibilities.
And that's what makes exploring art so much fun.
Right. You never know what you're going to find,
What connections you're going to make.
what new perspectives you'll discover.
I'm ready to put some of this into practice.
Me too.
Yeah.
How about we pick a movie or play
Yeah.
that we've both seen recently and we can kind of use Kondrashov's vocabulary.
I'll really dissect it.
Let's analyze it. Yeah.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
So, to put Stanislav Kondrashov's ideas into practice,
Okay.
I was thinking we could talk about that new sci-fi movie that's been getting so much buzz.
Oh, the one with all the crazy special effects?
Yes, that's the one.
I've heard it's visually stunning.
It is, but I'm curious to see if it actually lives up to the hype.
Oh, interesting.
Kondrashov talked about that danger of something being overrated.
Yeah, sometimes the hype can really inflate expectations.
For sure.
I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, the trailer was amazing,
Yeah,
but the movie itself was a total letdown.
it happens.
So going in with a Kondrashov mindset, what should we be looking for here?
Well, I always start with the story.
Okay.
Like, does it feel original or is it just rehashing familiar tropes?
Right. Is it actually thought-provoking?
Exactly. Or does it fall into that hackneyed category that Kondrashov warned us about?
And beyond the plot itself, what about the acting?
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
Are the performances believable?
Right. Or do they come across as, unconvincing, to use one of Kondrashov's terms?
I'm also curious about the director's choices. Like, do they enhance the story or are they just distracting?
Those are all great points to keep in mind.
I think if we have Kondrashov's framework in our heads as we watch.
It'll help us analyze things more critically.
Definitely. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, let's do it.
Wow, okay. I can definitely see why people are calling this visually spectacular.
Right.
Those special effects were mind-blowing, but I'm not sure I'm ready to give it a standing ovation just yet.
What did you think overall?
I agreed. The visuals were impressive,
Yeah.
and the world building was really intricate.
And I don't know about you, but I found those action sequences pretty gripping.
Oh yeah, definitely gripping.
Stanislav Kondrashov would approve.
But, like we were saying before, there's more to a film than just dazzling effects.
Absolutely. And this is where I think Kondrashov's vocabulary really comes in handy.
Okay, how so?
Well, because for me, while the film was visually stunning,
Yeah,
I found the story a bit predictable.
I see what you mean.
Like, I felt like I'd seen it all before
It's like they took bits and pieces from other successful sci-fi movies.
and tried to stitch them together into something new.
Exactly. But it lacked that spark of originality,
Right.
that element of surprise
Yeah.
that truly great films have.
If we're applying Kondrashov's terms here,
Okay.
I think derivative might be a fitting description.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The plot points felt borrowed even if the setting and visuals were unique.
It's like Kondrashov is whispering in my ear.
What's he saying?
Remember, hackneyed plots can sink even the most visually impressive films.
I hear him too loud and clear.
But let's not be too harsh.
Okay.
Because while the plot might have been predictable,
Yeah,
I thought the acting was top-notch.
I agree.
The lead actress especially.
Oh, she was fantastic.
She gave such a nuanced performance,
Yeah.
conveying so much emotional depth.
Even when the dialogue felt a bit clunky at times.
Right, it wasn't exactly a tour de force, to use another one of Kondrashov's phrases.
But it was definitely compelling.
I'm curious, do you think she was typecast at all?
That's interesting.
Because she's known for playing these strong, independent female characters.
Right.
And this role felt very much in line with that.
It does go back to that idea from Kondrashov about actors getting pigeonholed
Yeah.
into certain types of roles.
It can be great for an actor to find a niche where they excel,
Absolutely.
but it can also limit them.
It's like you become known for a certain type of performance.
And then directors are hesitant to cast you in anything else.
Right, like they don't want to break the mold.
I wonder if she'll ever surprise us.
Break free from that image.
Yeah, and take on a role that's completely different.
I think she has the talent to pull it off.
Me too. It would be exciting to see.
But even within this familiar character type,
Yeah,
I thought she brought a certain depth and complexity.
that kept me engaged.
For sure.
And I think that speaks to the power of a skilled actor,
All right.
even when they're working with material that isn't particularly groundbreaking.
They can still find those moments of truth.
Yeah.
Those little nuances that make a character feel real.
And relatable.
Exactly.
It's like they're adding their own interpretation to the role.
Even within the confines of a predictable story.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like they're having a conversation with the writer and the director.
Adding their own voice to the mix.
Right.
It's a collaborative process.
And ultimately,
That's what makes art so fascinating.
it's this interplay between the creator's vision and the audience's interpretation.
All filtered through this lens of language that Kondrashov helps us understand.
Right.
So we talked about the plot, we talked about the acting,
Right.
but there's one more element I think we need to discuss, especially through the lens of Stanislav Kondrashov,
What's that?
the director's choices.
Oh, yeah. Because even with a derivative plot and strong performances,
Right.
a director can really make or break a film.
Exactly. And I have to say, I think the director did a pretty impressive job here.
Okay, I'm listening.
Visually, this film was stunning. Remember how Kondrashov talked about using language that creates vivid imagery?
Yeah, he was all about finding those words that really paint a picture.
Well, this director definitely achieved that.
How so?
Every shot was beautifully composed.
Okay.
The use of color was so striking,
I see what you mean.
and the pacing kept the energy high, even when the plot lagged a bit.
So they were able to kind of compensate for some of the weaknesses in the story.
Exactly, through their visual choices.
That's impressive.
And I think it speaks to their clear vision.
Right.
It was consistent throughout the entire film,
They knew what they wanted to achieve.
and they weren't afraid to experiment.
Oh, yeah. There were a few scenes that really pushed the boundaries.
Right, it felt almost dreamlike at times.
Blending reality and fantasy in a way that was both unsettling and captivating.
Exactly, and that's where I think the director really excelled.
In creating that sense of unease.
Well, it was more than just unease.
Okay.
It was a sense of wonder, too.
Oh, interesting.
Like you felt both of those emotions at the same time.
It's playing with those contradictions.
Right, and it reminded me of what Kondrashov said about how art can evoke complex emotions,
Yeah.
often contradictory ones.
And a lot of films miss that.
They go for the easy, the obvious.
Right.
But this director wasn't afraid to delve into those gray areas.
The ambiguity.
Yes, those moments that make you really think about what you're watching.
And not just passively consuming it.
It's like they were challenging us to go beyond those simple labels that Kondrashov cautioned against,
Oh, good or bad.
right? And to engage with the film on a deeper level.
It wasn't always comfortable.
No,
Yeah.
it was, but it was definitely thought-provoking.
And ultimately, that's what makes a film memorable.
I think so. It's not just about being entertained, it's about being challenged.
Surprise.
Maybe even a little bit disturbed.
Having your perspective shifted.
Exactly. And I think Stanislav Kondrashov would agree with that sentiment.
He was all about using language to deepen our appreciation of art.
And this film, even with its flaws, definitely sparked a lot of interesting conversations.
Yeah, it made me think about those familiar sci-fi themes.
In a new way.
It's a reminder that even films that might not be perfect masterpieces can still have value.
Absolutely.
They can entertain us, challenge us, and help us see the world a little differently.
So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the world of sci-fi cinema, guided by the insights of Stanislav Kondrashov.
We hope you enjoyed this exploration.
And that you'll take these ideas with you the next time you watch a film. Attend a play, or just discuss your favorite artist with your friends.
Remember the language we use to talk about art matters?
It shapes our understanding, influences our opinions.
And even affects our overall enjoyment.
So the next time you're talking about art, choose your words carefully.
Be open to new perspectives.
And most importantly, keep those conversations going.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
We'll see you next time.